Ultimately resulted in my phone dying, but I got an external charger. I had to plug it in. It won't even turn on unless it's got at least 6% battery. So wait for that. A lot of people want to throw stuff in my face that they did when it was too late. You guys know the analogy I use. The analogy of that guy who's got diabetes. He needs special shoes or they're going to amputate his feet. He's got 2 weeks to get those shoes. He loses his feet. So you ignore him for 6 months. He's posting up, of course, about his feet being amputated. He's posting up about how different life is in a wheelchair. You're not paying any attention, though. You don't care. You got your drugs to use, right? But then one day, you happen to go through a thrift store and you see a pair of them shoes. They're only a couple of bucks, so you buy them. And you're all full of yourself. You're going down there to do something good. What? I don't have any feet. It's 6 months too late for that remedy. The only thing you can really do now, you can't bring my feet back, but you could speak up about how important those shoes are so that next time somebody needs those shoes, they take it seriously. And also, it's time at that point to understand that your friend is going to be different because he's in a wheelchair. He's not going to be happy when you try to force him to wear those shoes for a photo op. When he wants to throw it in your face that he finally tried. Hey man, I bought you those shoes. Yeah, I don't have any feet to put them on anymore. But you can speak up about the fact that, well, I don't have any feet anymore because I didn't get those shoes. You can admit that you ignored me for 6 months, or that you argued with me over whether or not I needed those shoes until I got my feet amputated. You're not going to admit that part, though. You want to focus on the part where you bought me those shoes. Well, thank you. Thank you for buying me those shoes. I still don't have any feet. You telling me to jump over hurdles with these new shoes. Hey, these new shoes will help you to jump over 10-foot hurdles. No, the fuck they won't. I don't have any feet. How are you going to jump a hurdle in a wheelchair? So that's the thing with most people's help. They wanted to tell me what to do without listening to whether or not I was even able to do those things. I told people how it would go. Oh no, Sean, that's not really the way it is. And then when they finally do make those calls with you, they realize that's exactly the way that it is. There are consequences for others. It doesn't matter if you're Meg, if you're Scott DaCosta, if you're a public pretender. When somebody is trying to tell you about the abuse that they're going through, you need to take it seriously. When somebody is telling you that a person is being predatory towards them and you make them go to that predator to ask them to stop. That's what we teach our kids, isn't it? When they're being bullied. Adults bully even worse. You think kids are bad. No, adults are way worse. Especially if you're homeless or disabled. Especially if you're male. Especially if you're unattractive. People don't want to fess up to the fact that there are consequences for their decisions, even the decisions they made based on assumptions. Those assumptions could have been remedied if those people weren't so busy talking about themselves. Now I'm having to deal with people wanting to complain about what maybe could have happened. Like Meg is trying to pretend like I maybe could have had somebody try to harass and threaten her and her family, when in reality she admits that person did not harass or threaten her family. She admits that that's not what happened, but she wants to throw it in my face as if it did happen because it was a possibility. See, that's preemptive. That's a sign of somebody who doesn't want to admit that they screwed up. Like, when you go to somebody for help for 6 months and they blow you off for 6 months, you're backed into a corner because your abusers, nobody's doing anything to stop them. It's not anybody's job. It's not your job. It's your job to look the other way, huh? Sure, it's illegal, but what's the advice that you give? Look the other way. You're a witness to the situation. Oh, but if you look the other way, then it didn't happen. If you look away, maybe these predators won't come after you. Maybe they'll keep their eyes on the prize. The fact that I told the truth through all these situations, and these people verified that I told the truth, but they didn't verify it in court. You know, that's the thing about them not doing anything until after I have to do something desperate, is that it's a different set of courts. There's also the fact that they don't try to make any actual efforts. Now, Meg wants to talk about all the stuff that she did after the fact. After it was already too late. After she'd blown me off for months on end and treated me like I was retarded. Yeah, when people treat me like I'm retarded, I don't generally tend to say things nice. Now, she says that I'm going to get on here and call her names and so on and so forth. Well, yeah, okay. If you're still going to argue after 6 months, even knowing that I've got the recordings, yeah, I don't have any problems with posting them on the internet. I did so for everybody else. You get to see how the rules are different for them than they are for me. How you hold yourself to a different standard than you hold for me. You hold me to the perfection of Jesus. You expect me to be perfect like Jesus at all points in time, but you don't hold yourself accountable in that way, do you? No, you're allowed to make mistakes. Your excuse is that you're only human. And I'm not? You say there's nothing you can do about it. Bullshit. After you've procrastinated for months on end, there's nothing you can do about it. Unless you're willing to admit that you screwed up, that you made a mistake. All these people, their excuse for never coming forward is that nobody will listen to them, least of all the cops. The cops' excuse for all the shit that they did was that nobody would come forward. Nobody would come forward because they're afraid of the cops. Not just the cops, also the Bollingers. There's a few of them that are afraid of their own sins. Sure, they could tell the truth, but they're afraid that their past will come up and bite them in the ass. So let's just get it all out here on Front Street, as Desiree likes to say. Desiree, let's put it all out here on Front Street. That stuff of mine that you stole from my apartment in Sydney, Nebraska, and blamed on Blaine McCrelius. Sorry, not Blaine McCrelius. Kevin McGregor. That's who it was. Blaine McCrelius is the meth dealer that used to be Dawn Bird's boyfriend and who hooked up Peaches with a lot of her drugs. Which, of course, In that situation, yeah, I knew that Blaine McCrelius was probably one of her dealers. He threatened to kill me, and then he got a hold of Miss Peaches to complain that I spoke about her on YouTube. You goddamn right I did. Did these people bother to send any of the videos to any of these people where I'm speaking about the things that they did? No. These things that these people obviously didn't see, because later on they're throwing that shit in my face as if I never spoke up. Did you actually do those things? If you're going to throw it in my face later on, when I've been telling you I'm being treated like I'm schizophrenic for saying that, you're telling me that this is a real event that really did happen. You really are a witness to it. But you're not coming forward. You're not putting any effort towards it. When there's actual effort to be had, you won't do it. You'll make any excuse. As long as it's not happening to you. But then you want to use the possibility that it might happen. Like, that's what Meg wanted to do tonight. Pretend like this could happen to her. No, it couldn't. She has a fucking family and her own safe environment where she has access to do these things when she needs to do them and help to do them if she has issues. She has help in person. All the dynamics that she was involved in, just like most of these people. They want to throw these things in my face that they did or claim that they did. In some cases, they actually did these things. In other cases, they have no proof, so I don't know. I just have to believe them. And since they haven't come forward and told the truth, loud and proud, how can I? When you say you don't want to come forward because you're afraid of being victimized, but I'm being treated like I'm schizophrenic for telling you that I'm being victimized, and I'm being treated like I'm schizophrenic for saying, hey, she won't come forward because she's afraid of being victimized, you don't get to play victim. You don't get to put my loved ones at risk, which is what you were doing at that point. What these people want to pretend that I did, they actually did for me and to me. What Megan Mesigatis did put me at a much higher risk of abuse. The fact that she's the person who is supposed to do this job according to the Dual County Sheriff's Department, and she did not do that job. She explained that it wasn't her job, but she had to explain it to me for 6 months. Arguing the whole time before she finally explained it to anyone in Dual County Sheriff's Department. Now, she did apologize, and she admitted that it took her way too long to come forward about that stuff, and she should have come forward at the beginning. But she still doesn't want to fess up to the fact that there are consequences for me, because not just her, nobody did it. Everyone in Nebraska is a mandated reporter. None of these people, none of them, helped me to turn in those crimes. Not even Molly Smith. Now, Molly Smith did try, but the officer she wanted me to go to was an officer I was trying to turn in. Sean Holloway. Sorry, not Sean Holloway. Jared Hahn. Now, that doesn't mean that she didn't have the best of intentions. A lot of these people have great intentions. Molly Smith had the intention of bringing me my evidence that she has on a little USB drive, but she didn't bring it. There are two people who have access to that evidence. That's Molly Smith and Miss Peaches, a.k.a. Kayla Trujillo. It's not my fault. That's what all these people say. It's not my fault. No, it is your fault. I told you about the abuse between trying to help me turn it in and arguing. You chose to argue. Then when it culminated into some very serious shit because you were pussyfooting around, Then you finally want to pretend like you're going to do something. Then you throw it in my face. I did this, 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 and this. Really? Because the courts say otherwise. The police say otherwise. Are they lying or are you? Don't fucking lie to me. Don't tell me about how honest a person you are. Don't ever do that. Don't misrepresent the situation to try to make yourself out to be better than you are. I admit when I fuck up. I admit when I break the law. Two things that Meg Mistigatis has shown today that she's not willing to admit. She's not willing to admit that her wrong assumptions resulted in harm against me. It's stupid. I don't hate Meg. She did finally say that she would call up some of these places with me. And then she wanted to keep on saying, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to lie. I'm not asking her to fucking lie. Jesus fuck. But she wants to pretend that stuff that I have recorded. This is the worst part. Like, I have it recorded. You're going to tell me that you didn't say something or tell me that you didn't do something that I have recorded. Yes, you absolutely did. There's a reason I recorded it. Then she wanted to pretend like it was some sort of chemo brain thing, and that's something that... No, after a long period of time has happened, people tend to forget pretty important details. There's also the fact that when they're angry, well, they tend to think of that person in a less positive light. Then, instead of sticking with facts, they jump to assumptions, and they stick with just the assumptions. They won't focus on any facts. If there's anything that they did wrong, they're not going to admit that they did it wrong. If somebody is an alcoholic and their alcoholism affects your safety, they're not going to admit that. They're going to pretend like you're a bad person for saying something about their alcoholism. Imagine that. Now with Meg, well, I was in jail because I didn't have her address and I didn't have her phone number, and I was required to have both in order to contact her from the prison. I had to try to get that elsewise. So then she's angry because I tried to get that elsewise because she wasn't doing anything. She wasn't speaking out. She was doing absolutely nothing. It's not that I didn't try to let her know what was going on. It's that she never spoke up. She didn't care. Maybe now she cares. Now, right before my phone died, I was trying to get her to let me know what day and time she can make the phone calls that she said she would make with me. See, here's the thing about Meg. Nearly everything in the conversation that we just had verifies that I was telling the truth from the start. Nearly everything in that conversation shows that what the police said was outright lies. But how long did it take her to actually put forth an effort? It took her a long time. She'd put effort into just about everything else, and I let her have that as a win, sure. But the thing is that was just the start. Getting me into a place does not protect me from the consequences of not being allowed my rights in court. Not being allowed my rights is what all of this is about. Now, she wants to tell me that she would file if I tell her personal information. Well, I won't tell her personal information. Yes, I will. If it has to do with my case, if it has to do with the reasons that she claimed that she couldn't come forward, then abso-fucking-lutely. I'll post up her own words on it. She wants to remember herself in a more favorable light instead of somebody who treated me like I was a fucking retard for 6 months. Then she wants to throw it in my face, a bunch of stuff that she tried afterwards that didn't work out. And why didn't it work out? Because we didn't get to turn in my predators. Because she was procrastinating just like everyone else. You're fucking procrastinators. And then you say, look at everything that I did. Really, did you speak up about it? Did you file a police report? Did you go into court and say those things? No, the fuck you did not. If you're not writing it down in a police report and speaking up in court, then you're a fucking liar, straight up. You want to throw it in my face that you did all these things that you claim that you did, speak up in court and write a fucking police report. I'm getting treated like I'm schizophrenic because you didn't come forward when it made a fucking difference. Now, you don't even want to admit that you fucked up. You could say, yes, Sean, I made a bad assumption. I was wrong. Let's fix this. So hopefully Meg is actually a good person who wants to fix this. But is she going to admit that her pussyfooting around and dragging her fucking feet has consequences for me? No, she's not. Just like Shannon Alvarado isn't going to admit that her getting drunk and screaming every night affected me. Just like Graham Milborn didn't want to admit that getting drunk and getting fucking stoned, rather than sending my evidence in a timely and efficient manner, made it so that I was stuck at Shannon Alvarado's listening to that fucking screaming for 6 fucking weeks. Is Desiree going to admit that she stole my things? Nope, she's going to continue to blame it on Mr. McGregor. By the way, I've got her recorded on my YouTube channel blaming it on Mr. McGregor. Is that what she told my brother? Probably not. When a disabled homeless male needs to turn someone in, he needs someone to go in with him in person. If you can't go in person, you need to speak up about why. Instead of allowing me to be victimized because I have to speak up about why, because you're not doing it. And then I get treated like I'm making it up because you don't give a shit. And then years down the line, you still don't give a shit. All you care about is winning. It's not about right or wrong for you. It's about winning. Megan Mesigadis is not a good person. At the very beginning, I was recording our conversations between her and I, and she kept on interrupting me to talk about her own family and her own issues. When I'm trying to get help, I'm not even able to explain the situation that's going on before she gets into talking about her own issues. And so I've got all these recordings of her talking about her own personal shit. That was all at the beginning. Later on, she's an asshole about it. Well, she pretends like she's going to say something, and then it's fucking hack up that goddamn hairball already. Jesus fucking Christ. I was just getting. Then there's real life consequences for me. And, well, whenever she's wanting to basically blow me off and fucking be sarcastic and treat me like shit, she wants to, well, ignore that aspect. And I have to continue to interrupt her to say, hey, you do not get to interrupt that. You do not get to pretend those things didn't happen. You don't get to talk over me and not hear anything that I say because you talked over me. Then you say, well, I didn't hear anything that you said. That's not my fault. In order for you to help me, you have to understand the situation. And when you're busy talking, you don't understand the situation because you're busy talking. A lot of these people, things that I said very loud and clear on multiple occasions, there's one or two occasions where they were able to cut me off while I was talking and just continue talking. So they think that just because there's that one situation that they found after digging through my YouTube videos where they talked over me so they didn't get to hear what I had to say, that doesn't mean stuff that she can take out of context, intentionally so that she can throw it back in my face. And she told me she's going to spend a couple of days doing that. God, if she'd have spent a couple of days trying to get this shit turned into the fucking cops when it was happening, instead of after those cops have gotten to abuse their power to prevent me from getting that help. That's the thing, is that her procrastinating allowed them to get away with their crimes. Her not taking the situation seriously. She didn't finally take it seriously until I was cursing on the internet about her. And what was I cursing about? In specific, what was my complaint in specific? She wasn't fucking listening. My predators were getting away, and the person that I'm told to go to, I'm going to that person. That person's telling me it's not their job, just like everyone else. Meg says it's not her job, she's just a volunteer. Meanwhile, the sheriff's department got to continue to pretend like I had an advocate by claiming, even after she claims that she told them that it wasn't her job and that's not what she does, they continued to play that in both court and in person, as if Meg hadn't told them that, as if that was still Meg's job, even though she had already explained that it wasn't. She also wants to say, oh, well, I did this, and this. Things that I literally had to beg her and prompt her to do. I had to say, Meg, either you tell the truth, or I have to post up our fucking conversations on the internet. Something that she might not know, even though I've stated this very often, is that there is not a very good ratio of people complaining and my videos being taken down. Matter of fact, in over 300 complaints, only 2 videos have ever been taken down. Over 300 complaints. And what do those people all have in common? All these people complaining about me posting our recordings on YouTube. It shows that I'm telling the truth. It shows that I did make them aware. They just didn't care. When someone tells you that they're being physically assaulted, that they're having their money stolen, or that they're being sexually abused, especially if they're a disabled adult, there are reasons that the laws are set up so that you are committing a crime if you don't turn it in. When did Meg finally try to turn it in to Department of Health and Human Services? Well, after it was already too late. It was after I already had to do something desperate to try to get help, because trying to explain to her the situation resulted in me hearing about her problems. She can't advocate for me under those conditions. Now, maybe it is chemo brain or whatever she called it. Maybe it's not. The fact is, after all these years, yeah, people's memories are going to be askew, and that's why it's important to have the recordings. Because she's now claiming that she didn't say things that I have recorded. That are recorded on my YouTube that she's claiming I didn't say and didn't ask. But she maintains that she's a good person. She says she'll make these calls with me, but when? So I suppose I should end this video and ask her when. Yes, her taking her dear sweet time and taking this seriously resulted in me going to prison. Resulted in me not having any protections from these predators. Someone who is supposed to be an autism advocate did not advocate for a person who's autistic. So that name needs to be removed. There needs to be actual services in Nebraska to help people who are disabled. Instead of claiming that they didn't try, when very well, obviously, Meg can verify that the calls that she made with me ended up getting us nowhere. Now, in order for me to download what's on there, Starbucks opens at 4:30 in the morning. It's open until 8 o'clock at night. I'll have to be able to convert this 3-hour audio recording over to a 3.5-hour audio recording over to a 3.5-hour video recording. And this is to appease her. She wants me to post it up on YouTube. So in order for me to do that, it's going to take 3 days from open till close for me to be able to download this on my YouTube channel so that you guys can listen to it. It doesn't sour as quickly as milk. Anyway, I hope Meg will make these calls with me. She said that she would. Hopefully she'll set up a time and a day to actually do so. Hopefully I won't be victimized between now and then. There's a lot of stuff that Meg wants to say, that's not my fault. It doesn't matter if it's your fault. Did it happen or not? That's what matters. It doesn't matter if it's your fault or not. What matters is, did it happen? Did it happen? If somebody is raped, and you saw them getting raped, and you look the other way, does that mean that they didn't get raped? If you ignore it until 6 months down the road, when this person has already gone to the cops and been blown off and gone to the hospital and they won't even administer a rape kit, and 6 months down the road you want to pretend like you... what? Like you didn't know what was going on? Bullshit. I told you, you just didn't want to fucking listen.